Hi, I'm Dr. Marian Owen with Whole Family Medicine, and it is May 2021. We are a million years into COVID-19, and it feels like we are finally getting somewhere. Our vaccination levels are increasing every day, and our case counts and death counts are dropping. So the vaccines are doing exactly what vaccines are intended to do. They are working. They are proving to be extremely safe, and I am very happy to be able to say all of those things. I was really impressed by the response that we saw last month when the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was briefly halted after some cases of blood clots, unusual blood clots in young women, tragic cases, and I was very pleased with how quickly that was noticed and how quickly it was responded to. It does seem in risk-benefit analysis that even in the higher risk group, which seems to be women under 50 with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, even in that case, clot risk is higher with infection than with the vaccine. So even in that one category, the COVID vaccine is still safest. However, because Moderna and Pfizer do not have these side effects, if you are a woman under 50, I would recommend you seek one of those other vaccines. But if you've already had the vaccine, don't worry about it. The Johnson & Johnson, don't worry about it. The effect seems to happen in the first few weeks, so I'm sure by now you are in the clear. So all of that is extremely good news. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the fact that at some point you're going to see a little black and tan dog running around back there. Her name is Mouse, and she does a very good job of keeping all of the chipmunks in their holes in this whole garden. She has a lot of work to do, and she's very busy, so I'm sorry you might hear her back there. So that's my news on the vaccines. If you haven't gotten one yet, please do. I am certain with the level of scrutiny that we've got on these vaccines, especially given how exemplary the response to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was, if there were a major concern around the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccine, we would be fully aware of them by now. So if you have been vaccinated, it seems that you are less likely to contract coronavirus. You are less likely to spread coronavirus. If you are to contract it, and some people will, the vaccine is not 100% effective. It's 94, 93, somewhere in there percent effective. So, some percent, 7 or so percent of people who are vaccinated and get an appropriate level of exposure will get infected. But even if you get infected, you are less likely to get even moderately ill, much less severely ill, and you are certainly vanishingly unlikely to die. I just want to be outside, and it's just noisy, but it's still better. I know of one case of a patient who was fully vaccinated who died. It was an elderly patient with multiple comorbidities, but the death was in fact attributed to COVID-19, and that is a tragedy. However, that's one person among millions and millions and millions and millions of Americans who have been vaccinated, which is a much lower death rate from COVID-19 than if we weren't all being vaccinated. So please, 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 if you've been waiting to make sure it's safe, go get your vaccine. Please go get your vaccine. So if you have been vaccinated, you can gather with friends. You can certainly gather with friends outside. You can certainly walk around outside without a mask on. You can return to a fairly normal social existence. I'm still not gathering with lots of people inside, but it's more just because I don't need to, so I'm not gonna, but not because I don't think it's safe. It's not perfectly safe, so I don't see why to bother. But gathering with friends on porches, outside, one or two friends inside, I think is perfectly safe and reasonable. If you are gathering with people who have fragile members of their family, I would, in deference to their health, young children who cannot yet be vaccinated, or people who are just frail, I would still err on the side of keeping a mask on. Why not? We're all used to it now. wear your mask if you need to. The only other caveat to that I have to add is also do keep an eye on prevalence of locally of the different variants that we're seeing develop. The variants are not developing because of vaccinations. RNA viruses mutate. See, she just got that chipmunk down in the ground. If you were a chipmunk, you wouldn't mess with her. Mutations happen gradually over time. RNA viruses are more prone to mutation and mutate more rapidly than other viruses. So we're seeing that with this virus. We're seeing them crop up in areas where there is a high infection rate. So we're seeing one out of Brazil that I've been somewhat concerned about, and it does seem that we're developing some variants in India where the population levels have been so high. So what are variants? What does that mean for us? How do we think about variants? Well, it depends on the variant, and so as they develop, you have to be patient and let the science catch up with the facts and figure out what exactly it means. But variants change things for us in 3 ways. One, a variant can increase infectivity, the ease with which the virus enters your system and makes you sick. So some of the variants will make it so that the virus attaches more easily to that ACE receptor or whatever, spreads through the air a little bit faster, lives longer in the air. Something will change so that that virus can infect you more easily. The other thing a variant can do that is dangerous, some variants are indifferent, but if it's a variant we're going to hear about, the other thing I worry about is the virulence, like how sick can it make you? Is it likely to make more people more ill? And that is a real concern. There's some question whether the variant out of the UK was making people more ill, and the jury's still out on that, but it's looking like probably not. The one in India maybe, and we just don't know enough about actually those 3 variants that are there. So we're just going to have to keep our ears to the ground and watch for that. So one good way to figure out if we here in DeKalb County, Georgia, should be worried about, sorry about that, but I can't put her in, she's so happy. Whether we in DeKalb County, Georgia should be worrying is if our case rates start going up. If we start seeing case rates climbing again, I would say that is a reason to be on the cautious side of decision making. Get your masks back on, be more careful again. If that happens, I'm certainly monitoring for that. Susan is monitoring for that. We will let you know. As of right now, I don't see any concern for that here locally. We do know in the United States, as of today, 1 case of one of the variants out of India got diagnosed on someone in Nebraska. We are monitoring for those. There is no way, if you think you're sick, to be tested for the variant to do that. You just get tested for COVID. The public health agencies are doing a wider surveillance and picking and choosing and monitoring, but that's not something you can personally request, by the way. I have been asked about that. And thank you for asking about that. That is, it's worth trying to find out if we could, but we can't. The tests don't keep up with that, the publicly available tests. So the variant out of Brazil, the one out of the UK, so far, most of the variants, we don't know yet with the one in India, but most of the variants do seem to be still covered by the original vaccines, meaning you still have protective levels of immunity, less likely to die, less likely to become severely ill if exposed to any of these variants. The jury is still out on the India variants because they are so new. We don't know yet. But it does seem that our protective immunity from the vaccine is holding, which is great news. Now, I am watching that very carefully as well, and I promise I will let you know. I expect to see changed vaccines over time as variants develop, just like we do with the flu every year. The flu vaccine changes with the flu virus, and that will probably be happening with these vaccines as well. The good news is we don't have to reinvent a whole new vaccination method. We just have to change the RNA that's in there to match the variant. So it will not take another year to develop a vaccine if there does become a concerning variant. So that's also something to remember and hold on to that hope with, because that's really good news. Yes, Mouse? I think she ate some dirt. Honey? So be ready for the possibility that you may be encouraged to get a booster down the line. That could easily happen. It's not bad news. It's good news that we're able to develop those vaccines and continue the great level of protection that we've been getting so far. So that's the vaccines and the virus and the variants. And now I want to talk just a little bit about life. We are getting vaccinated. We are re-emerging from the cocoon of the last year and stepping back out into the world a little bit. And I just want you guys to take some time to think about what you've liked about the last year. What's been good? Have you developed any new habits? Have you developed any new hobbies? Have you stopped doing something that you didn't enjoy that you'd like to continue to not have to do? The word is pronounced no. You can say no to re-entering some activities if you weren't enjoying them. So just be thoughtful about what you put back in, not just from a is it safe to do this standpoint, but is it what I still want to do? We've all just been through a very hard year, a traumatic year for the country, for you as an individual. It has been a tough year. And so maybe you want to be circumspect about how you re-enter. And I just invite you to use this as a reset time. There may also be some habits that you've developed that you'd like to get rid of. And some habits are harder to break than others. And if you need our help with that, I know that a lot of folks have, gained the COVID-19 or have been drinking more alcohol or smoking more marijuana or just not exercising or watching more TV or whatever it is that you feel like you're stuck in a rut about. If we can help you think that through, if we can be your support as you step into the rest of 2021, the post-COVID times, more healthily, please reach out to us. Susan does a lot of educating herself around helping people with change, stages of change, process of change, and she's really great at that. So please take advantage of that resource. Make an appointment with her. Talk through what you want to do or what you want to do differently, and let her and us be a support for you. Obviously, I'm here for you too, but she's better at it than I am, so take advantage of that. And just go slowly. You don't have to put everything back in all at once. If you get back to work and you're commuting to work, let that be the only change that happens for a while, and then move into the next thing, or see how that sits with you, and then think about your sleep. Think about, am I still getting my exercise? What things are changing because you're adding something back in, and how can you do that most thoughtfully and most healthily and in a way that makes you happy? Because that's why you want to be healthy, so that you can be happy and engaged in this world in a constructive way. So I wish you ease. I am happy to be giving you really good news, and I hope that you find comfort in where we are. And if you need anything from us, please let us know. And now I'm going to see if I can show you this crazy dog, because she is so much part of our scene. Mouse? Oh, Meow. Do you see her back there? There she is, back in the woods. Mouse, come here. Meow, meow. See, she's so obedient, just like my children. All right, you guys have a great weekend and a great month, and we'll back with you next month. Bye-bye. Oh, there she is. Somewhere.